Hi, we have recently launched the TW Pro Farmer. This application will revolutionize farming as we know it in the awesome game of Tribal Wars. Barbarian villages and more importantly player villages can now be farmed with ease. There are a couple ways that this new tool can be used. The first way is to simply use it out of the box with the default settings. This will work for you just fine. However, if you want to use the full power of the TW Pro Farmer, you must go to the website and tweak your settings. In this video, I will quickly go through each part of the website to show you the awesome features that we offer. Of course, I'll also show you on TW Tribal Wars website how it works and what it looks like. First, let's take a look at what appears to be a super simple but really very powerful way to utilize the TW Pro Farmer. To begin using TW Pro Farmer, you create a few bookmarks in your browser. I have already done so, but will provide screenshots that will show you how to set this up on your end. Alright, so first, as you can see, I'm logged into Tribal Wars. I'll show you the map. Everybody knows the current way to farm, especially if you farm players, because I'm in early game. To farm players, you have to click on the icon, click the swords, fill in whatever you want to fill in here, hit the attack, hit OK. Now that's fine. It takes a while though to send out 20, 30, 40, 2,000 farms, right? It's very, very tedious. I'm a developer, so I found there's got to be a better solution. So let's go ahead and show you real quick. If I click into the base, I go to rally point, and I have just a very small amount of troops here because it's early game. At the very top I have bookmarks. See, when I hover over it, this is the code in that bookmark. This code is, you can go to the twprofarmer.com website and create your own code with your own customized settings. Or on the website I also show you the default out-of-the-box settings, which will work for you just fine, but you might want to tweak it a little bit based off of where you are in the game. So I'll just show you. The first time you click this, it's going to go out and contact the server, and it's going to say, hey, here's the village I'm coming from, here's the world I'm on. And it does that by sending information from the browser. And as you can see, it has pre-filled the number of spears, swords, axes, and it's also put in a scout. The way it does this is it's reading from the reports on the server side that the user has uploaded. And I've done this previous to this video, but I will show you how that's done. And based off the reports, it says, hey, I know there's this many resources in that village. Or at least there has been in the past X number of hours based off your settings. Let me send the appropriate number of troops to pull those resources. So it's very efficient, very awesome. After I click the button, you can see it has a cursor down here in the Y coordinate. So all I have to do is hit enter and enter again. And then I go back up here, hit the button, enter, enter again, click the button, enter, enter again, click the button, enter, enter. As you can see, the number of troops are varying for every time I click this, and that's because how smart the system is. It knows exactly, again, what resources are there. If it doesn't know what resources are there, it uses the number of points a village has and does a trend analysis based off of the other villages. We do know how many resources they produce and how many points they have, so we roughly calculate or guesstimate the number of resources to expect. So maybe we click it again. Well, it's going to send a spy. So the cool thing about this is if you do have, misclicked, if you do have the proper number of if you do have spies left over at the end and you want to utilize them, you can. All you have to do is click the button, enter, enter, the same thing, right? So you keep going, enter, enter. Now, every time I do a pull from the server by clicking this button, it logs on my server, the TW Pro Farmer server, that hey, we've attacked this base, do not attack this base again. So it's very intelligent in that. Anyway, so now it's going to send out scouts. So let's go to my reports. I'll show you how the reports page works. So here's the normal reports. As you see, I don't have premium enabled. I don't have to for this to work. You can if you want to have your reports managed, or if you want to have them categorized or move them to an archive folder, etc. Fairly small amount of credits required for those features. But let me show you how you import reports. So click, 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 click. And I'm holding the control key and clicking every link. And what that does is it opens it up in a new tab up here. You can see. Click, 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 click. And if you happen to do one a couple times, not a big deal. Let's go to the next page. Click, click. Don't need resources, obviously. Click, 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 the trades, I should say. So now we go to the last tab. This is a report. You can see that this player obviously isn't playing anymore. I mean, it's got a lot of resources, so that's why, as you saw before, I was sending a lot of units to pull those resources. So I'm on the reports page, the individual reports page. Now up top I have a TW Pro Farmer report closer tab. So I created this, but I click it, it's reading it into the server and closing that tab for me. And now this is pretty cool. So you can just sort of sit here, turn around talking to your friends, whatever. You don't actually have to watch the screen if you don't want to. It'll go through and do it. Now what if you say, hey, this is great, TW Pro Farmer guy, but I don't want it to automatically close my window. Not a problem. To the left here I have created another button just called the report, and this is the report uploader. As you can see here, it'll let you know for sure that, hey, we've uploaded these coordinates successfully, and you can actually go ahead and read the report and go, oh, that's awesome, let me close this, I'll hit Control W, whatever, right? But anyway, let me finish up closing these out. So I just read in 20, 30, 40 reports, whatever it was, pretty quickly. The other thing to keep in mind is obviously this is a game of war, and you might have allies, alliances, tribes, things like that you're in. You don't want to attack those guys. So what we've built is, if you go to the Diplomacy tab, and you'll see that I've just randomly chosen a tribe. They obviously don't have me napped. It's just this one tribe. So I have a Diplomacy button up here. You can see the code for it, but again, I'll have that on the website. If you click it, Diplomacy was updated successfully. So what that's doing is taking all your information, your allies, your naps, your enemies, even though the enemies aren't really being used right now. But it takes that and uploads it to our servers, stores it in the database. That way, next time you do an attack, you'll see that you do not attack your friends. I did that early testing in my application. They didn't like that too much. Anyway, next, this is about it on the website. You can see that we have the report uploader, we have the Diplomacy uploader, we have the farming. I shouldn't say automatically done because that's against policy. We have it to where it makes it a very smooth process. We do not break the TOS, the Terms of Service. You can check that by going to the Terms of Service webpage for TW. And that's it. I mean, that's how to use the tool. That's pretty cool. Now for power users, as I mentioned, you'll definitely want to go to the TW Pro Farmer website. And I sort of gave a sneak peek of that before, but you go here, twprofarmer.com. You'll see in here that if you mouse over, you can get an idea of all the different parts of our application. It looks a little fuzzy right now because of the resolution I'm running at for this video, but let's dive into it and take a closer look. Okay, so I've logged in. I've created an account. Very easy process. When you create an account, it'll ask you things like, your login, your password, your email address, your first and last name, things like that. It'll also ask you what world your main account is on and the username. So that's pretty cool. So for example, let's go to settings, and here I have Tribal Wars, World 70, Pro Farmer 1 village at 304 points. It's active. If I click this button, it disables it, and now it's not on the main screen anymore. And I don't have anything there. So back to, I'm going to re-enable that. You can also add new worlds. So say you had something on International World, World 2. You could type in your name here to add, and it'll actually add that world here as well. And then that will now be added to your dashboard. So if you have multiple worlds you play on, you can come to this one place and you'll see all your snapshots basically. You'll see the number of villages, you'll see the number of points overall for that world, and it's a really pretty page, and it's updated every hour. So that's pretty cool. Some of the features that I'd like to show you quickly, if you create an account and you confirm your account, you'll have these options here. And to confirm your account, I just give you a little 4-character alphanumeric. You add that to your village name for a couple hours, and then once we see that in the village name next time we pull it, we'll see that your account's confirmed. What that tells me is that, hey, you are the rightful owner of that account. But anyway, we can extend your service. So you'll see here that my Pro Farmer's active until October 13th. You can update your allies. This is the Diplomacy page that I showed you before. You upload it, so if you go in here, you'll see all the tribes of the whole entire server. Of course, you can just search for whatever you're looking for and find it. But anyway, or if you don't have a certain tribe you don't want to attack, you just go over here and say, oh, like these guys have a lot of points. I don't want to attack these guys, so I'll just put their nap. Flash green, it's updated. That's it. What else? If you happen to go back to your diplomacy page and you upload your diplomacy again, it will not override any values in here unless it's one of the ones you updated from the web page. So if you went from ally to enemy, it'll change it here to enemy. But if you drop the tribe on your allies on the web page, it will stay here, and that's because for safety purposes. I don't want to be changing many things of yours that could possibly get you in trouble. So it's only appended. So you might want to come here and look at this every once in a while just to see if you're okay with the settings. Next thing is village exceptions. So what if you're farming people around you and they're crying, saying, please don't attack me anymore, it hurts. It hurts. Or how am I going to get larger to where you can take me over later if you keep farming me like you are? Well, if you feel that much sorry for me, you can come here and type the coordinates, X, Y. Add it to your exception list for this world. There's actually a better way to do that. We created a map feature very similar to the one in game. It's using a lot of our own custom icons, so it's not exactly like the game, but it's similar. It's also pretty fast on dragging back and forth. I don't know how fluid this is going to be in the video, so I'll do it fairly slowly. You can see that for testing, I've already added some exclusions. I noticed somebody spiked this village. Those punks. So anyway, so what I did is I made it to where, hey, I'm not going to attack that one for a while, so it worked. They were successful. I forget why I have this guy excluded. I think just to show that it can be excluded. And this guy I obviously excluded because he's a lot larger than I am. He obviously plays this game more than just for my demos. The other cool thing that you can do is you can add this to your favorites, or any of these to your favorites, and then it'll automatically show up here in the bottom. That way if you forget where he's at in the screen or whatever, you can select it and now it's going to center on that village. Let's see, also over here you can do the same thing over here. You can favorite whatever. You'll see that I only load like 6 blocks away, 6 large blocks away from your village for farming, mostly because I don't think people would really farm outside of that too much. I mean, we have thousands of villages here, so I doubt they're going to be doing more than that. If you are, you might yell at me. If enough people yell, I can expand that. If you want to be able to go look a little farther out, you can say, hey, recenter on this point and show me all the villages around that point, and it does. So that's pretty cool. So all my favorites are here. All my current villages are here, so I can just refocus back on my current village by selecting that. You'll see that my screen's not quite large enough for the map, is why things aren't looking centered. But anyway, pretty cool. Again, you have your don't farm me button here. It's instant, so that's nice. Your recenter here and your favorites. So that's the there's a lot of more things we could do with this feature, but for now I think for phase 1 that's what we have done. Let's go back to my worlds. Let's see, so I showed you the allies, I showed you the village exceptions, I showed you the map. Let's look at my villages. Very simple list. I think as an enhancement I might make it, you can click on here and go straight to the map. But anyway, it just shows you your villages, the number of points per each. Next thing we'll look at is templates. Templates. This is the bread and butter. This is really cool. This is very similar to in-game of Tribal Wars, to where you can create your A and B templates of what you want to attack with, except this takes it 1,000 times more powerful. I mean, it really is. So I've created global templates on the left to give you an idea of what we can do. So I have a wall breaker template, spears and swords template, axes, cavalry, hey, send all I got, a spear 3, sword 2 farming scheme, scouts only, and a skip village. Let's go through each one really quickly. The wall breaker templates. It's pretty cool. You'll see here that I have the wall breaker check report for a wall selected. I have how old I want the report to be. 60 hours might be a little long to allow the report to be for the wall in it, so maybe we change that to 6. Anyway, so you got those here. Let's see. Do not try the next template and bypass farm if this template is not used. No. So basically what this says is if I can't fulfill and hit the wall, still use the next template in line, which would be, say, spears or axes. You may not want this to happen because you're going to lose troops more than likely. So we can set this to yes and save a copy of your own. And as you can see, now I have wall breaker over here, so I can go over here, I can change this to 6 hours like I said, stop yes, and the max farm radius. So 100 squares, 100 village squares or blocks, fields, whatever you want to call it, away is the max distance I'll go. The minimum number of units required to fulfill this attack. So I'm saying it must have at least 22 units. Now, this is not the units, the number of units overall. This is the actual physical number of units deployed, as the number of spears, number of swords, number of axes total. Down below are the actual units sent. So I have at least axemen I'd like to have 25 minimum. So no matter what, I have to have 25 just to even send this template of axes. Now, if you felt comfy, you could create, again, this is your own template. You create your own template. You could change this to spears and swords or cavalry, and or whatever your scheme is. You can change it here. And then rams, I have minimum set to 2, the max is 219, because that's all it really takes normally to take down a wall based off the levels. And you can hit update, and then and it says let you know it's successful. Also, in my own templates, I've created one for cavalry farming. I've changed it to just have 3 as a max. And as you see down here, I have 111. That means it's going to send any of the cavalry units. If I were to add 1 here as well, and hit save, update my template, it's now going to send archers as well. I don't want that to happen. So we have the 111 here set for light cavalry mounted archers and heavy cavalry. So that's my cavalry template. I've created my own spear 2, swords 2, and axe template as well. So as you can see, it's actually 322, whatever. I can change the name if I want. Up here to 3 and hit update. Okay, so now it's truly 322, but anyway, or I could change the name to 2, which I will. Alright, so that is that. The next thing is I'll go through the global template some more. So we started off with the wall breaker, saw that one. Spears and swords. This actually has a pretty cool feature enabled too. So is required. None of them are required. However, I do require at least 4 units to be sent. So if you look down here, it says send minimum, the minimum number of, if possible. Here's the minimum number, 122. Keep ratio if possible. So the spears and swords have ratio enabled if possible. So what that means is, since you upload your reports, or we know based off the size of the village approximately how many resources are produced per hour, we will automatically send the correct number of units. So if you say 2 spears and 2 swords and you have the keep ratio based, if we know we need to send say 10 times more to collect, we're actually going to send 20 spears and 20 swords automatically for you. If you didn't have the keep ratio selected, like in the axes probably, what it will do is it will send the 2 and 2, since we have send men if possible selected. So I'll show you what I mean. Just like this, if I say like this, it would send the 2 and 2 if it had it, and then it would actually loop through the number of units that you have selected here, the 1, 2, and 2. Obviously only these 2 can carry booty or haul. So it will choose the slowest one first, which I believe is swords, but I could be wrong. So it'll start with swords, and it'll send the number of swords, if you have them, that you have available until the resources that you want to pull are fulfilled. And then it'll go to the next unit, which will be spears in this case, and send the appropriate number of spears that it would take to fulfill the resources that you want to pull dynamically. Next one's farms, or axe farming. So always send minimum on scouts if possible. If you're in a world where you need to send 5, you can change this of course to 5. Axemen, I require at least 6, but because I don't have a max, it will allow that to grow to even 1,000 based off the resources, or 10,000, whatever the max is you could actually have in that village. So 12,000 or whatever, or 24. Anyway, it'll send up to that max, but since I don't have a max, it'll just send to whatever I have to whatever I need to pull and do it automatically. Cavalry, as I showed you before, just the 111 with a minimum of 7. This could easily be changed to 3, as you saw when I did farming before in my examples. I was using 3. Early game, I'm not worried about it, and there's not a minimum of troops, so 3 will work. Send all I got. This is a pretty cool one. This is actually an awesome end game feature. So say you're on a world and you need to send everything you have anyway to pull just the resources from one village. Say you only farmed it once every 2 days or something, and it's going to have a full warehouse. Well, if you send all you got, that's great. The problem if you didn't have this tool and you used the application, just the rally point in game, you have to go through and click every one of them to send the individual units, and it's not, it's not that bad, but if you need to do that a couple hundred times or 100 times, it might get pretty tedious. So this saves you all those clicks. You just send all I got and use that template. Spear 3, swords 2, as I showed you before. Keep ratio if possible. Send men if possible. For some reason, I don't have that selected because I can say I'm okay with sending spears or swords as long as I have a total of 5 of them. I don't care. Scouts only, as you saw and I mentioned earlier in the farming from TW Pro Farmer's account, that it would send only scouts for this template. And a skip village. What a skip village is it's sort of a special one because of the name SKIP. What that is I'll show you later on. You can actually do overrides on templates per village for each one of your villages. So you could actually say, you know what, from this village, don't farm from me. That way, if you maybe have a co-player and they use this application as well, they'll know not to. They'll know not to farm from that village. They'll actually put up a message and say, hey, I'm set to be skipped. Don't farm from me. So that's sort of cool. All that, you're like, that's great. What are these templates? Well, let's take a look at village template ordering. So for player villages, I have this template order set for my account. So user means it's created by the user. Pro farm means it's obviously global. So I have my spears 2, swords 2, axe is my first attempt. I have axe farming. So really I'm like, you know what, I don't have my wall breakers in here anywhere. Well, I don't have rams yet. I could add the wall breakers here, so that just means the rams would never, they'd never be used since I don't have them anyway, which is fine. But I'll show you how to change this in a second. So it goes spear, swords, axe, then axe only, then cavalry, and then scouts. So you might think, well, if this does spears, swords, and axes, and nothing's really required here, why do I need to have axe farming? Good point. I probably don't in this case. Cavalry and scouting. That's for the player side, and for the barbarian side, I have the same thing. However, these are of course based off the villages you are attacking. So the next one I pull from queue, it's going to say, hey, go through each template, see which one can be fulfilled, and use that template on the attack. Say for example, you were ready to make changes. You just simply click the edit button. Here are all the different templates you have access to, and you can add them. This is the order they're done in as well. If you say zero out axes, you don't have to zero out, bring these up or anything. Just update it. It's going to do that for you. So now it's only going to have those 3 there. If you want to put those axes back, however, I don't have a simple slide into, so you have to go down here and do spy, cavalry, your own custom one, or you can do the global one, and then reselect axes and hit save. And it's updated. Alright, cool. So now we've re-updated it. Down below, you'll see we have overrides per each one of your villages. This is what I was talking about if you wanted to go in here and set one of your villages to skip, or if you wanted to attack in a different way from this current village, you can. Say it's a defensive only village and you only want to attack with spears or swords or something odd. You can do that here, very powerful. That's the templates. That's the template. The last thing is, how do you wrap all these templates up together into an attack order issuer? You click on Farm Attack Builder on the left. Here are your filters for your queue. So you notice I clicked the TWPF farm button up here on the left. If you click this button and you're on the rally point page, what it does is it goes out to the server and says, hey, if I haven't already been issued a set of villages to farm, please use my settings based off of this button up here, which I'll show you here in a second how to get that output. Please use my settings and create me a queue list. So we'll go through each one of these. So farming villages, the village types. You can do barbarian only, player only, or both. So if we do both, I'm not too worried about the max Barbarian village points, but if you are, you can modify this to say 250 or 500 based off where you're at. Your players minimum points, that could really be 29 or 32, whatever it is, but it doesn't matter. Max points, I have mine set at 50 just because I'm a baby right now. Don't want to make anybody mad that could hurt me. This is a pretty cool feature here, tribe at max points. So I will not attack anybody if the tribe has, I'll change that to 1,000 points, which means if they have 1,000 points in their tribe and I'm by myself and I'm only 300 points, I probably don't want to. I might be okay, but if I have defensive troops, but I don't really want to make them mad. So I don't want to attack anybody over 1,000 points right now for the tribe. Max distance, this is your farming distance. I'll go ahead and change that to 30. 30 blocks or fields away from my base. 30 village squares. Resource filters and settings. So haul multiplier. This one's a little bit maybe to wrap your head around. So this is based on the hourly resources produced in that village. So for example, since you upload reports, or I have to guesstimate if you don't upload reports for that particular village, I know how many resources are created overall for all three: timber, clay, and iron, and I add those all together. So say I know it takes every hour it creates 2,000 resources. Well, this multiplier says take 0.50, multiply that by 2,000, and now it's 1,000 resources that I want to send enough guys to farm. What that means is I think there's a good chance that half the time somebody else is already farming in this base, and optimally I'll be able to get at max maybe 50% of those resources. So that's what that multiplier is. However, if you only farm every 4 or 5 hours and nobody else is farming those villages, you can set this to be 4.0 or 5.0 if you don't want to do if you don't want to submit reports. It's a good way to estimate that. And the best way to change this number up and down is to go in and check your reports to see if your hauls are full or not. If they're not full, then maybe change this to be a little bit lower, and then just keep adjusting as you see it. I may end up changing or adding another feature in the end that's where I suggest what this number should be based off your activity. But for now, it's a manual, sort of pseudo-manual process. A scouted resource expiration. So we will always use the most recent levels for that building if it's ever been scouted. However, for the resources left in that base, so say you scouted it an hour ago and you saw there's 10,000 resources left in that base. Well, how long would you want the report to be valid to where we use those 10,000 resources? And that's what this is. This is a number of minutes. So I have it set to 12 hours. Might be a little high, so let me do it set to say 4 hours, 240 minutes. Queue restart time. This means how often after you, so I click this button, it creates me a queue if it hasn't created a queue in this number of minutes. So if it's been, say, 40 minutes since the last time you farmed, it's going to create you a new queue because it's more than 30 minutes here. So what that means is it's going to go through and repull all the villages that you haven't farmed in the past 30 minutes so that you can farm them now. And last but not least, probably one of the more important features here is the farming templates. So these are my defaults. This is what I have set based off the page up here in the template ordering. These are the defaults. However, if you wanted to have a different button for a group of templates, you could, and the way you do that is you go here in custom. You can either fill this out or you click here and then you can make changes. You can say, you know what, spy, whatever. It's like, oh, there's 2 in a row, it doesn't make sense, whatever. Anyway, so you can fill that out, or down here you can go and you can fill out another one as well. Or if you want to add wall breakers first, right here you could do that too, and then change this to spear and this to axe and this to cavalry and your spy. So now you have your overrides and you hit generate. So down below I have the code you can use for Opera 12, which is basically the T-Train browser. If you use that, you farm from that. I don't really suggest you do. I suggest you use Opera 12 only when you're doing your T-Trains because it's a slower browser. It can't take it doesn't use all the efficiencies that say Chrome uses, especially since we're very jQuery utilized as a tool. It's better to use a newer browser, so I suggest you use Chrome. Obviously you can use whatever you want. Firefox, Chrome, IE. It works in IE good. I hope nobody's using it. Anyway, Chrome and Firefox. So I would use Chrome. Copy this, or since I'm actually doing this in Opera to show you it does work in Opera as well, you copy this code and then go up and create a new button. And since I have these buttons already, I'll show you that for the farming, you just go here, you right click on it, do properties, give it a title where you want it stored in my bookmarks. This is the address. So here you put Control V or right click or select, select it all, right click and paste. So now it has in the JavaScript required nickname. This will mouse over it, what it's going to say, and you can give it another description saying, hey, this will attack with 3 axes and 2 spears and wall breaker. If you want, you don't have to show any of that garbage, and hit done. And that's your buttons up top. That's really the meat of it. If you click on the how-to up top, you'll see how we do the diplomacy and also the generic rally point farming. If you don't want to use your own customizations, you can just get started right out of the box. How to import reports. This is the import report. This is the one that does not close. If you read this, it'll basically say this is the one that does close out the tab when you use this method. Basically, the only difference is it has a 1 right here. It says please close. And this one doesn't have that 1. If this is for the Opera 12, if you click here, it'll have all the settings for the new Opera 15, which you may have mistakenly upgraded to, which means you cannot do T-Trains or Chrome or Firefox. But that's it. That's the tool. Take a look at the tool, see what you like, see what you don't like about it. I'd love to get some feedback from you. And that's it. Thank you for watching the video.